All right, well, hello and welcome to the August Macomb Park Board of Commissioners meeting. As always, we will start with the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the agenda stands approved. Consideration of an action on the minutes from July. Are there any corrections, additions, or deletions? All right. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the minutes stand approved. Bills and transfers and monthly financial statements. Commissioner Ham, please.
Thank you. For the July 2022 month, our consolidated fund, our cash on hand at the month was approximately $568,643. The revenues for July were $82,896 below the budget. Expenses were $29,347 less than budget. Ended the month $53,549 below budget expectations. In the year to date is still $102,361 better than the budget. For general fund, we ended July with $655,451. The revenues ended month $80,260 below budget. Expenses for the month ran $6,014 more than budget. Overall, this ended the month $86,275 below budget, and year is $117,609 better than our budget projections. For corporate, we ended the month $29,990 below budget projections. For year to date is $77,687 better than the budget. For recreation, overall, we ended the month $28,614 below budget and $14,736 better than budget for the year. Lakeview, overall, the month ended $231 better than budget and our $2,825 for the year. Ball 4, overall, we ended $1,107 below budget for the month. In the year, we are at $2,940 better than the budget numbers. Special rec ended the month $7,249 below budget expectations, and for the year to date is $10,763 better than the budget. The police, July ended $5,272 better, or excuse me, July ended $5,272 below what was expected at the end of the month. For year to date, it's $638 below budget. Payroll, the wages ended $5,471 less than the budget for the month, and year to date is $50,390 better than budget. Some notes, we did receive some additional tax distribution. I believe it's our second one. It accounted for about 13% of what we're expecting, and that amount was received July 19th for $179,486 approximately. We did also receive personal property replacement tax check on July 12th for $38,824 about.
Okay. Are there any questions? Thanks, Russ. Are there any questions for Commissioner Ham? All right. If there are no questions, is there a motion to approve the bills and transfers and the monthly financial statements?
I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. It's been moved and seconded. A roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Weiss.
Aye.
Commissioner Ham.
Aye.
Commissioner Selders.
Aye.
All right. And bills and transfers and monthly financial statements stand approved as published. It looks like we do not have anyone for the open public presentation to the commissioners. So we move on to item number 5, which is the update on the status of our strategic plan from Campfire Concepts. And we have Jared. And Jared, I'm sorry, I don't even want to try to pronounce your last name because I will kill it. Jared's meeting us via Zoom. So, Jared, let us know how to say your last name.
Shineman, like sunshine.
Shine.
Yes.
Okay,
You'll
there we
never
go.
forget it now.
I won't.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for making the walk from wherever to wherever via Zoom to meet with us today. So we'll let you take over the meeting here. Thanks for meeting with us, Jared.
Absolutely. Thank you, Commissioner Weiss. I very much appreciate your flexibility this evening. Thank you so much for your staff and for WIU's staff that's helped make it possible for me to be here this evening. So thanks for your flexibility working through those virtual jump ropes. As Commissioner Weiss mentioned, my name is Jared Shineman. I am the president of Campfire Concepts. I started this firm in 2017 after working for the U of I for 10 years in an extension-like service unit, doing very similar work and working primarily and exclusively with park districts. Roughly 250 communities in Illinois and 50 projects later, I learned that when a director tells me you need to keep this between 15 and 20 minutes, I was like, yeah. I got like 5 months worth of work here. What am I gonna do? And then I became a secretary of a board myself, and now I'm gonna try and keep it to 15 to 20 minutes because I know how these meetings go. So I'll do my best for you this evening, but please feel free to stop and ask me questions along the way. I already heard some scuttlebutt before the meeting, so feel free to do so as we move through the meeting. I want you to get out of this what you want and what you need to know from the process that we've gone through so far. So I can't see if my slideshow is up for you all, but if it is, I would ask that you would go to the next slide for me. All right, so every good plan needs a model. We work off of the theory of planned behavior. And if I would distill this theory and its process into 3 questions, I would say what we're trying to find out is, where is the Macomb Park District now as an organization? Where do you all want to go? And how are we going to get there? And that's the simplistic way I can take the model and present it to you tonight of where we're trying to go in the processes and the questions and the things that we're trying to ask and what I'm presenting to you this evening. Next slide, please. So if we're going to answer the question, where are we now? I'm going to work through a situational analysis that hopefully will codify itself in your principles of management of who you are as the Macomb Park District, which will then help you build your foundation of where you're going to go together in the future. So how do we do that? Well, the first thing we did was we asked Rachel for a slew of information. She provided us reports, research studies that you've had done, historical documents, financials, etc. So that was really just us trying to get to know the organization and its history better. And we learned things. We learned how you have a special events philosophy more so than a program philosophy. We learned that you just restarted your foundation, and that is going to be a critical partner in the process of making sure your strategic plan is successful. So that was the baseline that we were trying to achieve and work from. Next step was a parks and facilities assessment, which we call the park report card. I believe you all received the report and were able to review that prior to this meeting. But basically what that is we're looking to do some kind of an inventory and condition analysis of your assets. Nothing highly technical, just an overview that we worked on with staff. And I'll provide a little bit more information in the next slide on that one. But from there, then we went and we talked with key stakeholders in your community, kind of in a mixed methods approach. We started with interviews and focus groups and built towards a survey, which is the report is in review stage. Rachel should have received, I think today or yesterday, the first copy of that for her to review. And then hopefully we'll have the final copy presented for you for your next meeting. Then we had a staff workshop. We did a strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and challenges analysis with them, which then built towards who are you as an organization? What's your mission, your vision, and your values? We asked a few tentative questions about priorities. Hopefully from there, we'll build a priorities matrix, which then you all as a board will be able to react to and interact with as well. And then, as I mentioned, we reached out to your community to confirm and affirm all the things that we've been talking about with your staff and your community members so far. Next slide, please. So what are the key takeaways that I want you to have from our inventory and assessment of your parks and your facilities? Well, first I would say, overwhelmingly, we all noticed that your parks are secure and clean. Everything had its place, everything was organized. We were very impressed with how everything was set up that way. From a consultant perspective, we felt like your parks were a blank canvas. Like, we couldn't believe the latent potential that was there. I'm sure Rachel was annoyed with us by the end of the day. And then later on in the week, with all the different things we were throwing at her that day and afterwards. So she was very graceful in dealing with us and all the ideas that we were bringing forward.
I was tired.
One thing that I would also mention to you is that we were very focused on the details, because we believe details are what help you establish a welcoming and accessible environment. So we talked a lot about front of house. What does it look like when your residents drive into your parks, walk into your ball four facility, walk your paths at Lakeview Nature Area, etc. So those were the kind of the key things that we focused on there. Naturally, after being a park district for 75 years, you're going to have some aging infrastructure, and some of that is not your issue. Some of that is your partnerships with the city and other organizations that is just going to have to be some conversations you have if these assets are things that the community wants and wants to see foster and thrive, because you're focusing on your parks with the Patent Park OSLAG grants that you received and the development efforts that you're doing there. There are other assets in the community that you share. So that's one of the conversations that will need to come out of this process, I believe. Ultimately, we're looking for benchmarks, and we want to create a very simple annual process for your staff to be able to go out into your parks and your facilities and have some kind of benchmark baseline for which to build upon to tell if you're improving or not. Other communities that have used this process have seen satisfaction rates improve in particular areas as it relates to playgrounds or other facilities that they've rated in the past, and then asked their residents, have they improved or not? It's also a very great tool that you can use to create just a very simple capital improvement plan where you can prioritize the different things that you're going to work on in the future. Any questions so far?
You're doing great.
All right, thank you. Next slide, please. So then we met with some of your key stakeholders. We talked with local legislators, school district people, on and on. And we wanted to know, what did they think about the park district? And what do they want the park district to aspire to be? So first of all, they see you as being an organization that should represent and care for the needs of all abilities, all ages, all activities. It's hard to be the Amazon of the park and recreation world, but that's what they see you as. And I think you all do a great job of trying to reach every part of your community as best as you can. And they notice that too. They notice how well you all maintain the properties that you own and care for. They notice that you're really good at fundraising and you're really out there and outreach in the community, and that you've received a number of grants to help make your community better. And they also can tell that you're good at marketing. And I would say that's the case too, as judging by your survey response. That's the number one way people receive information from you is social media. 27% of your survey participants said, we find out information about Macomb Park District through social media. No other park district has social media as number one in all the surveys we've done. It's been climbing, but it's not anywhere near to that percentage. So I think that's a testament to the innovation of your staff, especially for the size of your staff too. Lastly, they're concerned about, we asked them about areas that they want to see grow in the community as it relates to Parks and Rec. And first and foremost, they were concerned about equity, wanting to make sure there's accessibility to parks and recreation amenities in the community. They talked about connectivity and bike trails and opportunities for alternate transportation. They see the Nature Center, and we do as well, as being a great space that could really grow and thrive in the new and different things. And they thought about what are the different programming and opportunities that can come at the Nature Center. And then just naturally, conversations turn to water features and gymnasiums. Everybody in communities in small town America, even if you're a little bit bigger than small town like Macomb is, they're looking for the silver bullet. What are the things that are going to keep people here? And it always turns to a recreation center and water features. So just had to throw that in there too. Next slide, please. Next, we met with staff and we had a nice workshop with them. And one of the things we went through was strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and challenges. But since I'm from Wisconsin, we flipped that around and reference the major thing that Wisconsin is known for, cows. So as we do a cows analysis, I like to tell people that we want to end on strengths and we want to focus on strengths and how we can leverage those for the future. So I won't go through all the details of the things that staff said. You'll get a matrix of this in the future to react to and add to if you so choose. But here's just a kind of general snapshot of what we learned from them in the time we were with your staff. Next slide, please. So tonight, we're going to give you a first take on what staff came up with as potential core values, vision statement, and mission statement. This is just an opportunity for you to react to initially, if you so choose, or you can take it in, decide how you want to nuance it, bring it back at a future meeting, and discuss how these could be some opportunities for you as an organization to consider to adopt. So the first set of core values that we reference is holistic wellness, which would be providing services and opportunities designed to improve all aspects of the wellness of our community. Opportunities for creating inclusivity, cultivating our roots, and growing our legacy with integrity, equity, and inclusion. Preserving and building our legacy, connecting our past to our present while building our future for the entire Macomb community. And environmental stewardship, creating awareness and supporting responsible choices with our natural resources through education, conservation, and sustainability. So I can stop here and let you give me your initial reactions, or I can go on and continue with the presentation. We can circle back to it later, whichever you would so choose.
That's good.
Yeah.
I think we would like to hear more.
Okay, next slide, please then. So a vision statement is something that clearly states Macomb Park District's current and future aspirational direction. Staff came up with a vision of building memories through play and discovery, using the MPD acronym as part of the statement, which I think is very clever on their behalf. But as you think about your vision, I really want you to think about the goal that you're setting for your organization. And then I want you to think that a goal is not necessarily about what you accomplish. It's about who you become. Who do you want to become as the Macomb Park District as you move forward together as elected officials, as your staff, volunteers, community, etc. So as you interact with this vision statement in the future, I want you to think about who are you going to continue to become and aspire to be as a group here in the future. Next slide, please. Then your mission statement operationalizes what your vision statement has you aspire to be. They're very aligned. They coherently and concisely present the same topic, but a mission is more so related to, well, what is your purpose as an organization? So staff came up with enriching lives through open space, education, and recreation opportunities. which I think fits very well with the purpose of the Macomb Park District from what we've seen in the community.
And Jared, if I just
Yeah, go ahead.
may. So this is our mission statement, but through the conversations with Campfire Concepts representatives, there was just one little tidbit that we thought might not seem as inclusive as it could be, which is citizens. Our mission statement currently is enriching citizens' lives. And although we are here directly for the citizens of Macomb, we are here to enrich anyone's life who comes into our parks and services. And so we just thought removing that or omitting that one word might kind of better depict, who we are and who we're here to serve. So.
Thank you. All right. So next slide, please. So those were the three values, were your beliefs, your vision statement, and your mission statement. Something that we would like for you to review as a board, bring back in the future, and adopt before we would maybe finish out the plan, so that we have something that's our key foundational principles of management that everything is going to be based on. Because if you decide you're going to make some changes, that's going to impact how we build out what we're going to do. Everything needs to fit. So I thank you in advance for your help in your review and doing those things. After all this, we worked on a survey instrument and built that out with Rachel, and she was extremely helpful in getting the word out and sharing the survey instrument with your community. So just want to say thank you for doing that. And if you go to the next slide, please. We decided that as we were going to interact with the community, we really needed to employ a mixed method approach. We started off with interviews and focus groups, and then we decided to go with the online survey, online questionnaire method in order to kind of affirm and confirm the things that we had heard throughout the interview process. We asked 21 questions. We received 243 usable responses, which is what we have seen as being typical for a community your size and in the method that we chose to use. We had 7 objectives, which I don't need to necessarily read through, but I'm gonna go over those here, the highlights of those areas for you on the next couple of slides. Next slide, please. As far as use patterns go, you had 88% of the households that had visited a park area in the last 12 months. 85% of the households had visited one of your facilities within the last 12 months. 62% had participated in at least one special event or recreation program. Pretty amazing if you consider how the pandemic has impacted people's use patterns and what they're willing and not willing to do. So to be able to have those numbers, I think is pretty telling and pretty exceptional for the Macomb Park District. Next slide, please. As far as marketing goes, I referenced already earlier that 27% said the preferred method or the way that they hear about information from the Macomb Park District is social media. Next highest was word of mouth at 14%. We asked a number of questions about is the Macomb Park District effective at XYZ? In providing open space, 27% of your respondents said their Macomb Park District is very effective. Normally, the highest percentages in very effective you see are around 10%. Programs and special events combined, very effective and effective with 69%. Overall, your participants of the survey were unsure about your partnerships, whether or not Macomb Park District was effective in a partnership with the city or the school district or a variety of organizations. And I think that just relates to awareness. You do a great job of marketing and fundraising and other things, and it might be just a shift in focus in that area. As far as initiatives and opportunities go, we asked some questions about native areas and should this be something that the Macomb Park District should invest their time and resources in? And 82% said this was an initiative or opportunity they were interested in. Other areas such as inclusion, most of the time they answered we're unsure. We don't know. We're not sure what the Macomb Park District does. So it's another area where when you read our survey report, you might want to pay attention to some things that could include some need for awareness. Future needs. As far as priorities go, your respondents said is for special events, they were interested in summer concerts. 46% said that. Next highest was youth sports types events at 30%. As far as actual amenities, of course, they said they were interested in a splash pad, 58%, and trails at 46%. But the thing that we like to do when we ask priorities is we follow up with a question about, are you willing to support this? Meaning, are you willing to give some finances in order to support your top priority? Only 19% said they'd be willing to financially support a splash pad, and only 13% said they'd be willing to support trails. So as you can see, there's a lot of amenities that people want, but when it comes down to brass tacks, they got to be able to support it too. All right, next slide, please.
Hey, Jared.
Demographics.
I think
Yeah,
we
go ahead.
are a little bit off on our slides. We were stuck
Oh, I'm
on
sorry.
satisfaction for a minute.
Go one more.
I think we just need to go one more, Billy.
Are we on satisfaction now, or are we on demographics?
Demographics.
Okay, yep,
Okay, thank you.
yep.
You had a fairly homogeneous response, meaning primarily white, female, around the age of 45, with children, and longtime residents in an average of 23 years. Next slide, please. Satisfaction. Overall, if you look at satisfaction numbers and all the previous studies we've done, and the national average is around 70% if you combine very satisfied and satisfied numbers.
Hey, Billy. Thank you.
There we go.
Now you're good.
Thanks.
Yep.
Appreciate your help in many ways. So 88% of households said their overall satisfaction, they had a high overall satisfaction with the Macomb Park District. 80% said they're satisfied with special events, programs, facilities, and parks. 80% said they're satisfied with park maintenance. 90% said they're satisfied with staff. What I love, though, is the stat that says 94% agree that the Macomb Park District is important to the community. Like I said, national average is 70%. So for Macomb to have those high numbers for satisfaction levels, you should be proud of what your staff and your community and you all as elected officials have put together. Next slide, please. So lastly, I just wanted to touch base with you on what some of our next steps are as a consultant team. We are currently involved in doing trends analysis, both at the local and national level. We're putting together a community profile, which essentially is demographics relating to the school district and other amenities within the community. We're building out your agency profile, listing out your parks, what their amenities are, how they compare to other similar communities, etc. And then a priorities matrix. So resoundingly, what we heard from staff and your community members and you as board is that priorities seem to be very similar, which doesn't always align between all those groups and other communities that we work with. So some of the top priorities that were identified were rebuilding the fund balance, updating ADA plan, Patton Park, obviously, reevaluating events and programs, and putting together a comprehensive maintenance plan. So I would love to be able to come back to your community in person, since I've come many times in the past, and unfortunately then the day that I'm going to meet with the board, I'm unable to be there. But I'd love to come back and talk with you about some of the next steps as we build them out and review with you the priority matrix and even help you nuance the mission, vision, and values if you so choose. But next slide, please. At the end of this slide, I got my contact information. Just the email or cell phone call away. Happy to do either one of those, chat with you about anything you're concerned about, any questions or comments that you might have. like I said, love coming to Macomb. I've been coming since around 2009 when I was with the university. It feels like a home away from home in some cases for me. So I thank you for your time this evening. Happy to answer any questions or comments that you might have, or let you carry on with your meeting as you so choose.
Do we have any questions for Jared?
Not directly. I have some discussion that I would like to have with the director at another point, now that I've gotten, after she gets that report that he talked about at the
Yeah, yeah,
beginning.
yeah.
But the parking situation, I had a lot of questions on
That actually
on
might be a
kind of
great
things.
question for Jared, because he can give you the perspective of those who are evaluating it. Might not necessarily be able to give you that.
Okay, because I saw a lot of grades on parking with some of your survey questions. Could you give us a little synopsis of what all that involved?
Yeah, absolutely. Excuse me. So one of the things that I need to preface about the park report card study that you're reviewing is that we were in your parks in spring. And we told this and mentioned this to staff as well, that our assessments are as objective as possible, but they're subjective in that nature around that time of year. So staff were preparing and putting together the parks to make them ready for the season. And we need to take that into light when we look at this report as well. As far as parking goes, and some of the things that we were assessing and looking at was drivability. So as you enter into the parking lots, you have a lot of gravel parking lots. So at that time of year, it might not have been the possibility that the parking lots have been graded. So there might have been potholes. There was a rain event prior to us attending. So those are some of the type of things that we noted. We were also keying in on accessibility, making sure there is uniformity across your parks in accessible parking. So was there a parking pad? Was there did the signage all match? Was there enough space for someone that would leave their vehicle, be able to exit their vehicle? So were there detectable warnings leading into different pathways, etc.? So those were some of the basis for what we were looking at. If you have any specific questions for specific parks, I can help you out with that too, if you have any questions there.
No, I was looking at veterans because there's a lot of parking area out at veterans, and it does, depending on what area you're parking at, it does look a little different. So how's that compare with other park district, especially complexes like that, where they have diamond soccer fields?
Yeah. So one thing I should tell you too is that if you look at your overall scores for your areas, the average is 2.5. So or 2.5 would be your average score across the other studies that we've completed. But as far as Veterans Park goes, I would say if you compare it to other major sports complexes, very similar. So it depends upon the community that you're in too. So for instance, if you're in Champaign and you're at the Dodds Park Sports Complex, Champaign is a community of 80,000. So their sports complex has all paved parking lots. So it's not a comparable thing. But as far as yours goes, it's definitely adequate parking. There's definitely enough for the events and the activities that you host there. And I would say it's not necessarily something that I would look at in needing an improvement. It's more so just kind of the details is what we were looking at there.
Okay, thank you, Jared.
You're welcome.
Are there any other questions for Jared?
For me.
Jared, thank you so much. I'm excited to have you come back and work with us a little bit more in the future, and everything that you've sent us. I'm very excited about our future.
Yeah.
Because there, like you said, we're kind of an open canvas district wide. So and we have lots of, Rachel has lots of
We?
amazing ideas. So,
You guys come with ideas all the time.
so, Jared, thank you very, very much. Really appreciate it. And again, looking forward to seeing you next time. Seeing you
Yeah.
in person.
I love that. You're welcome. And I would just close with by saying, great parks and great park districts, they spur out a great people, and you all have great people on your staff. And I'm looking forward to getting to know you as a board more and your community more, as well as we work towards getting this plan finalized. So thank you.
Yeah, Jared, you don't only get to say good things about our staff, but I need to commend your staff as well.
Absolutely.
I think the professionalism that was met with us, and also just the excitement and the wealth of knowledge that we got to experience through engagements. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if my calculations are correct, there was approximately 100 years worth of administrative park experience with among the consultants that you brought. And whoo, did they have ideas. So yes, we all were exhausted at the end of our park evaluation day, but I have not seen the park district staff on such a high in such a long time. So it was incredibly valuable and thorough. And so, and at one point, Neil Armstrong, who has moved on to bigger and better, but he came to me at one point and went, "It's not right. I'm not supposed to like consultants." So just commend you and your staff, not only for the professionalism, but just the engagement. It made it a lot of fun.
Good. Thank you. Good to hear.
All right, Jared. Well, thanks again. And you're welcome to stay and watch the rest of this if you would like, but I'm sure you have other things to do. So again,
I'm going to respectfully decline on that one.
there you go. So again, thank you for your time, and please thank all of your colleagues, and we will see you next time.
Absolutely. In the meantime, reach out with any questions.
Absolutely, we will. All right. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Bye-bye. Okay. So we're up to item number 6, President's Report. I just have one thing to report. I received a letter last month from the iParks Board of Directors, and they asked me to read this to our commissioners. So here we go. Let me get my... Dear Mr. Weiss, the iParks Board would like to recognize and express appreciation for the time and dedicated contributions of Rachel Lenz in serving on the iParks Board. Please see, oh, that's the wrong thing. I'm sorry. Here we go. Here's the real letter. My apologies. The Board of Directors of the Illinois Parks Association Risk Services wants to thank your Board of Commissioners for the dedicated contributions of Rachel Lenz to our board. Like other executive directors who serve on the iParks Board, Ms. Lenz has brought an invaluable perspective and represents Macomb Park District exceptionally well. We hope you appreciate the few days a year that Ms. Lenz gives to serve in this important capacity. With appreciation and thanks, the iParks Board of Directors. So, kudos. Yes, so thank you, Rachel, for your dedication, not only to the Macomb Park District and the Macomb community, but to the iParks Board as well. So, yes.
That's very nice of them. Thank you.
Yes. And if you would all like to see it, you can, yes. Thanks. All right, so moving on to the director's report.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to keep this short and sweet. It's been surprisingly still a whirlwind of activities with the district, and maybe I shouldn't say surprising, but July is typically not as hectic for us, and these staff are wild. They cannot be stopped, which is exciting, and I appreciate their enthusiasm, but we're all already exhausted and we still have a ways to go. So,
All right.
Lots of coffee at the Park District, please. So just a few touch points though. Thrilled to say that the Patton bathroom is officially done. That facility is within our ownership now. For those who were not aware, until that facility is complete and signed over to us, that is not the Park District property. So that is why it wasn't opened. So there was some finalized paperwork that we needed before it was officially released to us to open to the public. So, we had a very fun social media news announcement that, broke that waiting period for the public. That was well received. Let's see, some upcoming events. August 18th is our next Randolph Street Rendezvous. Kicks off at 6:30 with the Mac Eckberg Band. Thanks to our friends at Mid-America Bank for sponsoring this engagement for the community. Again, this is at Glenwood at the Stone Shelter. Always a great time, great way to just enjoy a free night of music. So according to the survey, that's what people are wanting, so come on down to Glenwood Park. Our next movie in the park is, I did not write down the date, August
Is it
26th?
Sixth, I think.
I think you're right.
No poster.
26th. They know. August 26th is in Canto, starting at 7:30, as always-ish. It's a great movie. You will have those songs stuck in your head for days. But yes, free movie to the public. Our friends over at First Bankers Trust provide free popcorn, and our friends at Pepsi, free soda for the public. So it's just a great evening to enjoy a movie under the stars with your family and loved ones. Fall programming is crazy. Fall programming is going to be released soon. The staff have been working on a great lineup of engagements for the community. Lots of crafts programs. Ceramics, as always, is booming. And she's bringing some really unique engagements for the fall. And then Lakeview, some classic events that everybody has come to love. So just be on the lookout for that release in the very near future. Our Push for Parks partnerships are still going strong. I would be remiss if I didn't start by thanking our, I think they were our May Push for Parks partner. They have finally presented us with the check of their campaign for $4,000 for the Patton Park project. Thank you to Deadhead Plant Nursery for their continued support. Beyond just the Push for Parks partnership, they've randomly donated a bubble machine, or they help with donations of plants every once in a while. So they're just a great partner and a great community-minded organization, so we thank them for their support. And Brown Shoe Fit in Macomb has stepped up as another, I didn't even mean to do that.
Wow.
I didn't.
Impressive.
Thank you. It's natural. Has stepped up as our August Push for Parks partner. Incredible deals out there, incredible shoes. So head on out to get the kiddos or yourself new shoes for the school year, because everybody needs them. Well, doesn't need, but they nice. So for every pair of adult, women, and men's athletic shoes, $5 will be donated to the Push for Parks project, and then $2 of every Hey Dudes will be donated to the Push for Parks project. So I stopped in there the other day to do my due diligence. I needed some athletic shoes, and they are very encouraged by what they might be able to donate to us this year. So
Fabulous.
Already, which is fantastic. So we thank them for their continued support as well. And we're always moving and shaking, so I encourage people to check out our social media pages at Macomb Parks. You never know what you're going to find on those pages. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Excellent. Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Director Lenz.
Can I ask a question real quick?
course.
Because I saw the 75th key on the key that's, the keys that are going
the
on
hidden
that-
keys.
that
Oh, the
I didn't
eggs.
The eggs.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Could you say a quick thing for
Sure.
everyone, just how that came about?
Glad you brought that
Oh,
up.
yeah, no. So that was an idea that Kara Sahagan, our superintendent of events, came up with. So before some of our major events, you might be walking around at some of your favorite local establishments and see a ceramic egg that was made by Natalie Shelley, our ceramics coordinator. And it says 75th. It has our logo on it. And if you find it, take it, and you can turn it in at that next event. And it tells you all about the event on the tag for a prize. So just a fun, different type of engagement for the community to get involved with
And
events.
it's located mostly in just the park areas, right?
Oh, no.
No,
No,
just
no.
all around town?
Yeah, I can't give you specifics because then people
Oh,
might.
I thought maybe
Because
they-
there's So no, any local establishment, maybe if they're somebody who we work with often.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't say much more.
Very well.
Yeah, it's
right,
top
thanks.
secret.
Keep your eyes open for them.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, thanks.
Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah,
I
thank
forgot
you.
about that. Yeah. Another great idea. Yes.
Yeah.
All right, so we are at item number 8, our final review of the 2021 annual audit with action possible. Quick reminder, last month Chad Lucas made the drive up to present the 2021 audit. And after his presentation, we decided to table any further action until tonight. Are there any questions or concerns that we want to discuss about the audit?
No, I just appreciate the extra time and allowed me to go through this a little bit closer. So a lot of this involves the budget information that I'm given to from Chris Frankhauser on monthly, all this detail, and a lot of this is included and summarized in their audit, and it really helps clarify a lot of things, keep organized of how important the budget portion of what the board does. I mean, when we're keeping the finances and the revenues and expenses all in line with that, that gives us a good blueprint to follow.
Absolutely.
So I really like to see it in writing here. I'm old school. So thanks again for all the time that, Sikich put into doing this. So I'm ready to move forward with it.
Okay. Are there any other questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, is there a motion to approve the 2021 annual audit?
I would like to move to approve.
All right, is there a second?
A second.
All right, it has been moved and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Ham,
Aye.
Commissioner Selders,
Aye.
Commissioner Weiss.
Aye. All right, and the 2021 annual audit has been approved. Thank you all very much for that. And last and certainly not least, we have a very important presentation by our very own Sir Rock Loxley.
There he is.
So good evening, Rock Loxley. You may remember me or have run into me a few times over the last 2 years. I've been working at the Park District for the first year in 2020 to 2021 as a graduate assistant as I worked on my master's degree in RPTA at WIU, and then last year as an AmeriCorps volunteer. I worked 40 hours a week or more.
Supposedly.
That's on paper, right?
On several different projects on paper, yeah. And so I've been doing all these different projects over the last 2 years, so I thought it'd be nice for me to come and present what I got into in the 23 months since we last really spoke at a presentation, and how things ended up. So I brought along a PowerPoint, if we can get that started. So this is where it starts. Go ahead to the next one. So this is the big project I've been working on, which hopefully you've heard about, called the Macomb School of Magic. And when you think about this, my concept was to find the extraordinary in the ordinary, and to really invite community members to engage with the parks in new and different ways. And the Easter eggs is really what I go for. So I tend to hide a lot of interesting things in ordinary places. So the first thing I did for the parks was create a scavenger hunt. Next slide. And for this, I created a character, Headmaster Loxley, who is a headmaster of the Macomb School of Magic. And then each park, I identified specific scavenger items based upon local history. I brought in people like Joseph Pesh, who used to run Buckeye Pottery. I brought in General Macomb, and I used Captain William Irvin's sword that's found in the local Western Illinois Museum as some motifs for finding 4 different houses representing the 4 major parks here in Macomb: Veterans, Lakeview, Patton, and Glenwood Everly. Glenwood
There's
Everly. Together for the golf course, right? They do this
Right.
golf course. So I created this character. The scavenger hunts were a way for people to interact with the parks during COVID, so they can come out, choose places. They could print out a list and go try to find all the items on them. And then this evolved into something a little bit more. We thought maybe we should have a cumulative event for that, and that became Wizard Quest. We can go to the next slide. which during my school I learned that when you're developing a tourism strategy, you don't just do one thing, you start building on it. So I developed a 4-phase, one for each sort of house or main park, as I saw it, strategy for increasing community interactions and reaching out in new ways to community members. And this is the 4 steps of the Macomb School of Magic. So the first is an annual event called Wizard Quest. The second was a board game. Third is a comic book, and the fourth is interactive sculptures. And I came and proposed this as a central theme for my next 2 years, and it was warmly accepted, and we started moving forward, and I started really working on things. So we can go to the next slide. So this was Wizard Quest. The one we're going to hold towards this Halloween will be the 3rd one we've done. This photo is from the very first one that we had. We had 75 attendees the first year, over 100 the second year. We'll see how many come this year. But basically, it's an event for people to come discover the park. So we do a little quest where they can go out and kind of like flip coins and meet challenges. But really what they're doing is I'm sending them on a scaffolded walk through the park. So we want people to go out and engage and see new parts of our park or learn about the different histories of our parks as well. They can also do cool activities like build wands, learn how to use a magic spell to make something dispel, to make a affliction dispel. And that's a continual theme I use throughout this. They can learn how to play our board game, that sort of thing. Next slide.
Actually, if I can interject.
Yeah.
So I was at our state conference last year, and I was engaged in the chairman's reception, and a park district director from outside of Peoria came up to me, and he goes, "Hey, I got to tell you, we really enjoyed that Harry Potter thing that you did." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, yeah, that wizard thing that you guys did. My daughter's obsessed with Harry Potter, and we drove the hour and 15 minutes to attend. And I said, this, like, I was just like, are you, like, you came all the way to Macomb. And yeah, so the very first year, we had people, other park district directors and their families, thanks to their kiddos, attending that event. And I just thought that was a really cool, cool fact, so.
Both years we had people state they drove from Chicago for this event.
Wow.
Wild.
So we are getting some tourism. It's working.
Yeah.
All right. So what I developed next was a board game. It went through 3 stages. Basically, I developed the board game as an anti-monopoly game. Since Macomb already has a Monopoly game, I wanted to invent something that was the opposite. So in Monopoly, you go, you own stuff, and then you compete against other players, and there's only one winner. In my game, you go around and you visit the parks, and that's how you keep them healthy, keep them from being afflicted from things like litter, vandalization, or apathy. And it's a cooperative game, meaning together, you as players either all win or you all lose. The difficulty scales from pretty easy to nearly impossible, and we still have copies for sale, although I think you all got a copy, correct? So if you want to learn how to play, come talk to me if you haven't figured it out already. All right, next slide. So this is the comic book, which is currently in process. It follows the same idea. We have 4 kids. Each of their parents have been afflicted by the affliction, and so they go on a quest, a wizard quest, through our main parks, find 4 magical sigil sculptures that empower them and give them spells, and at the end, they realize that all they really have to do is start visiting, maintaining, and bringing their friends and family to the parks, and this keeps them healthy and they don't get afflicted. So this is currently in process. We're at the approval stage, and then comes colorization. So next slide. And then you may be familiar with these sculptures that I built over the last year. So this is on the left is their current, on my left is the current status in Citizens Park, and on the right are the builds of them. You can go ahead and click through the next slide. So close up, next slide. This is me welding the zoetrope, next slide. That's a finished zoetrope before I'm mounted on the stand. The stand is actually a recycled ceramics piece. 90% of the materials I used were recycled as much as I could get from pieces we had already in the parks. So all the steel plate for the zoetrope was a piece that maintenance had found and was not being used, so I incorporated it into the sculptures. Next slide. This is a sword and a stone. This is why you cannot get it out. That is a car spring that you're pulling against. And actually, the shape of the sword is a T, it doesn't come to a point in there. So you will move the sculpture before you get that sword out. But that is a replica of Captain William Irvin's sword that we also have in the Western Illinois Museum. Next slide. And that's the concrete facade to it. The vases stacked on top is a nod to Buckeye pottery. The zoetrope, which is the spinning thing, is a nod to the train, like if you're sitting in a train watching the scenery go by. And then the last one, next slide, would be the birds. So these are recycled hammers that I welded wings onto. And then it's an oscillating bird, so it's a physics toy you may have played with. But they're all local birds we have at Lakeview. So we have a downy woodpecker, we got a red-winged blackbird, and then an American robin. Next slide. And those should stay up for a little bit. And then we have various projects I've done. So I built this backdrop here for Promo Wizard Quest, and then this was Trunks for Treats, which ended up being indoors because of the rain. Next slide. So the dog stones, which still are in process. Next slide. This is a sketch that I did for Patton Park. Next slide.
For the Oslad grant.
Yes.
This is for Shade Tree Shandy, the partnership we did with Forgotonia. So I designed this promo image. Next slide. And then you may have seen probably one of my biggest time investments outside of the sculptures was the 75th anniversary exhibit we did in coordination with the Western Illinois Museum. And so this is where I went back to the very basis of our history. I spent maybe 8 months figuring out our exact timeline and then creating an interactive exhibit for people to come and share our 75th anniversary and how reflexively the parks have responded to the needs of Macomb as it's grown and changed throughout the years. It was a really cool thing to be a part of. So, and I think that's it. Next slide. Yeah, thanks for your time. I appreciate it.
What spell is that being
Well
taught?
done.
That is fabulous. Love it.
Cute.
So this isn't the end for me, fortunately. I'm going to stick around for a little bit, at least. So as Neil Armstrong has stepped out, I'm stepping in as at least interim superintendent of support services. The things I'm looking at is streamlining, efficiency, getting trainings in place, and really taking this role to where I hope to see it. So I am a visionary and idealist, so I like to create things. So I think this is a cool moment for me to step into it. So, any questions?
Absolutely fantastic, Rock. Man, I gotta quickly say, I did not realize until you gave us this presentation how many things you have done in the last 2 years, and it's mind-boggling. That's like a 5+ year plan of, and you've done it all in 2 years. So kudos to you. That is outstanding.
Well, I mean, it wasn't just me, right? I had an excellent supervisor who was backing me.
All I did was say go. I didn't help you at all. Thank you. But
I would agree with Jarrett when he says the staff are very supportive. Even as a graduate assistant, I felt very empowered to go and speak with people, meet with Jeff and talk to him about resources I could use. So for me, I was able to do a lot of things because of the energy and environment that exists around the park district, and the ability for me to go and interact and make partnerships in the communities based out of the goodwill that's already out there. So,
Absolutely. And speaking of partnerships, I mean, based off of the things you've done, it gives the park district the ability to partnership with other entities on throughout the community. Like the Macomb School District or the university. There's so many levels that this could continue to be built up. Absolutely fantastic.
well, thanks for your time, and I appreciate you investing in me and in the fellows program that I'm representing.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I would definitely say the AmeriCorps program has ruined us for ever having any other sort of graduate assistant. Working with KMC has been phenomenal, and if they continue, I would not and I unfortunately would not expect a rock again because of just the amount of work and the way he immersed himself into the culture of the district was just beyond expectation. But I do think that the level of engagement we would get from future graduate assistants from the AmeriCorps program or fellows, Peace Corps,
Program and community development.
that's the one.
Yeah.
You know, I'm very much looking forward to working with that program again. It's a very high quality engagement. So, and I'm sure this goes without saying, this really did only scratch the surface of the things that Rock did. The anniversary thing was not on his radar to do. We were just starting to talk about the development of the 75th year anniversary, and I said, I think it'd be cool to have an exhibit, just a space, just a small, like a 10 by 10 space, you know, to put a few things. And it just so happened that he had mentioned that he wanted to do museum exhibits in the future. And so I said, here, I gave him a picture, here, have a 10 by 10 space at the museum. And yeah, I mean, just the fact that he developed like a timeline from 1850,
Oh, gosh. Something like that. It went
even
way
before,
back.
yeah, from when our community was created through the creation of the park district, through the rest of, I mean, it's just a phenomenal outline. Just a fantastic resource. So I mean,
And that museum, what was that, a couple of weeks that that was on? Was
Yeah.
it
Wonderful.
Stayed up for
museum?
3 weeks.
So people
Yeah.
really, I hope, had the opportunity to go there and see it. I know I did.
Great.
And
Yeah, it was phenomenal.
it was nice to read about the history of.
all while doing a graduate program
Yeah.
and becoming a family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my best project. Is my daughter was born 3 months ago, so she's 12 weeks yesterday. So
Yeah.
that's been
Oh.
awesome.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Yes, congrats. Well, again, thank you, Rock. You have definitely spoiled
Oh, man.
us.
I apologize.
Absolutely.
So we very much appreciate it. And we're excited to see what your plans are the next, during your interim portion and whatnot. So, yeah.
3 months to 2 years.
3 months to 2 years, right? Yeah, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Or longer.
Or longer. We'll see. We'll see.
see.
No promises.
We'll see.
But I am excited about it. I'm excited to stay here and continue working. I really do love this. So
Good, good.
yeah. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, well, next on the agenda, open commissioner presentation and discussion of future agenda items. Do we have any of that? No. Okay, so next is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved?
All right, is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? And we stand adjourned. Thank you all so much.